Welcome back to News Around, your home for the most heartfelt and surprising moments from the world of Turkish stars. If you love deep stories that stay with you long after the screen fades to black, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to News Around, and hit that join button to help us keep bringing you the stories behind the headlines. Now, let's talk about the interview that stopped Istanbul in its tracks and reopened a story the world thought was long closed. The morning had started like any other press day. Cameras, soft lights, and the quiet hum of a studio preparing to capture another conversation with one of Turkey's most admired actresses, Elçin Sangu. Calm, radiant, and always eloquent, she was there to talk about her latest project, her craft, and the rhythm of her life. The air was bright and easy until one name changed everything: Barış. That name landed like a spark in dry grass. The smile on Elçin's face didn't vanish, but it changed. The kind of change you can't quite describe: a soft pause, a breath that seemed to weigh a little more than the rest. She took a moment before she spoke, and when she did, it wasn't the usual polite deflection celebrities used to bury old rumors. She spoke quietly, honestly, and perhaps unintentionally, left the entire room holding its breath. "I don't like revisiting the past," she said gently, "but maybe, not every chapter really ends. Some just stop mid-sentence." Those few words were enough to ignite the city. Within hours, Istanbul's social media pulse quickened. Fans who had once celebrated the chemistry between Elçin and Barış, both on screen and, perhaps, beyond it, flooded every platform with memories and theories. Some said she had reopened a door that should have stayed closed. Others felt she had finally said what everyone knew but no one dared to admit. People close to the actress later revealed that her calm exterior had been tested in recent weeks. Behind the poise and confidence, there were whispers of late-night calls, unexpected messages, and one accidental encounter at a private event that had stirred long-buried emotions. A close friend described it as two hearts speaking a language only they still understand, half apology, half goodbye. The messages, sources say, had a pattern. Some sounded like closure, others like hesitation. It was as if Barış himself couldn't decide whether he wanted to heal the wound or reopen it. Elçin, for her part, seemed to answer not with words, but with restraint. Days after the interview, she posted a simple image: a quiet road under fading light. Beneath it, she wrote, "Sometimes, the past must find its own way home." No mention of names, no hashtags, just a sentence that felt like poetry drawn from memory. There are things only two people understand. Not everything needs to be explained for it to be real. A single line, spoken softly, yet it thundered across every platform. Some called it a declaration of unfinished love, others said it was a farewell disguised as tenderness. Later that week, Turkish entertainment reporters dropped a new rumor: a message from Barış to Elçin, allegedly sent right after his comment. It read something like, "Pain doesn't disappear just because you stop speaking about it." Whether the message was real or invented didn't seem to matter, it carried a truth too relatable to ignore. People read it, shared it, and projected their own stories onto it. Because in love, real or imagined, the line between memory and hope is always blurry. That's when fate, or perhaps poetic coincidence, placed them in the same room again. It was a charity gala in Istanbul, elegant, understated, yet humming with whispers. Elçin arrived first, wrapped in elegance and quiet confidence. Moments later, Barış stepped into the same glow of cameras, dressed in calm composure. They didn't walk together, they didn't pose side by side, and yet, when their eyes met across the room, every lens in the place seemed to freeze. Witnesses say it lasted no more than a second, a held look, deep enough to stir every unspoken word between them. She smiled faintly, he lowered his gaze, and the world turned that silence into an entire story. The next morning, tabloids and fan accounts worked like detectives. They measured the space between them in photos, compared body language, studied reflections in glass. Some claimed they saw longing, others insisted it was professionalism. But one sentiment rose above all the noise. Love doesn't always end, sometimes, it simply changes shape. Soon after, Boris posted a photo on his official account, a breathtaking sunset melting into the sea. His caption read, "Not every ending is an ending. Some are just intermissions." The post vanished hours later, but by then, its echo had already spread everywhere. That vanishing act, intentional or not, only deepened the mystery. Was he trying to speak to her again, one last time? Or was he trying to quiet the storm he had helped create? A close friend of Elçin later told News Around that her words during the interview had not been a stunt or a provocation. They were, in the friend's words, a release, something she needed to say to finally breathe again. Fame, the friend explained, doesn't make the heart immune to tenderness. If anything, it amplifies every heartbeat, every regret. And that's the beauty and the burden of being seen. Weeks later, another sighting, this time far from red carpets and headlines. At a quiet cafe in Nizantasi, Boris was seen sitting alone with a friend, a cup of Turkish coffee cooling slowly in front of him. Witnesses say he kept glancing at his phone, scrolling, typing, stopping. One person nearby swore he looked like someone reading the same message again and again, as if each word might change if he just stared long enough. Rumor has it that Elçin had sent him a short note earlier that day. A single sentence that read, "Time cannot erase what the soul decides to keep." Whether true or fabricated, the words spread like perfume, lingering, ungraspable, unforgettable. And then came the whisper that turned the story into legend. Somewhere along the Sesame coast, they were said to have met quietly, without press, without pretense. Just two people sharing a table by the sea. No cameras, no scripts. Only conversation, long, honest, and heavy with the weight of what once was. Did they reconcile? Did they say goodbye? No one knows. But those who believe in the poetry of timing like to imagine it was both. What do you think, dear viewers? Was that meeting the closing of an old chapter or the quiet start of something new? Tell us below, we read every single comment you leave. Through it all, one truth keeps surfacing. Elçin Sangu and Boris Arduç are not just actors loved for their on-screen chemistry, they are two souls who remind us that behind fame and lights, there are real hearts still learning how to let go, or hold on. Their story, whatever its final act may be, has already outgrown the boundaries of fiction. It lives in the pauses between words, in the quiet gestures, in the way both have chosen silence over spectacle. Perhaps that is what makes their connection timeless. And that's the story, for now, of Elçin Sangu and Boris Arduç, a tale that refuses to fade, no matter how many endings it's given. What do you think, News Around family? Should love like this find its way back, or do some hearts heal best in silence? Drop your thoughts in the comments, don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you want to help us keep sharing these emotional stories, hit that join button to support News Around. Because here, every story, just like every heart, deserves to be heard.